hosted by four-time Emmy-nominated producer Frank Pace, with retired New York City firefighter and Vietnam vet Billy O'Connor.
My brother.
My brother, how are you, Frank? How you doing, pal?
Good. How are you?
Good. You got any New Year's resolutions? You doing anything for the new year? Anything you didn't do in the past?
Well, considering it's now 6 days into the new year, I'm not doing anything. I'm just trying to survive day by day until we get the vaccine.
Yeah, I guess everybody's sort of doing that. Everybody's worried about going out. And I know usually around January 1st, I'm sure all the gyms, all the memberships, they all get filled up, and nobody ever goes there. You know, it's like they go there for about a month and then they bail out. You know, but everybody's got to start the new year with the new resolution to get in shape and everything else.
Well, our resolution is that we're on a new day, Wednesdays, and
that's
we're
cool.
2 o'clock Pacific, 5 o'clock Eastern, and one of my resolutions will be to remember to introduce Derek earlier, because he's a valuable member of our team, and he's going to continue to add great insight to what we're doing here. So,
hello, everybody.
Yep.
Hello there, Derek, my man. How are you?
I'm doing great, Billy. How you doing?
You got any resolutions? You got anything that you weren't doing before that you're going to be doing for the next year?
You know, I stopped with resolutions years ago. I always have a list of things that I want to do in the year anyway. So I don't have any resolutions. But man, I'm just happy to be alive and happy to, just have my family around me. So I don't have any resolutions thus far.
We're all grateful for that, man. We're all grateful for having our family healthy. I used to always say, this is it, man. I'm starting January 1st. I'm going to start running. I'm going to get in shape. And, of course, I'd always have the bench, and I'd get the bar and the weights on it. And about a week later, I'd be using it for clothes, big clothes hanging all over it, shirts, pants.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned the bar, because our guest today will be Sheen, the International Federation National Bodybuilding Champion, who's is now 60 years old, and at the age of 54, he was a fat and flabby alcoholic, and he channeled his passion. He had a brain operation. He channeled that passion into bodybuilding, and he's made a remarkable metamorphosis into the person he is today. So we'll get to Hans in about 20 minutes or so, 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's going to be really pertinent, because of the new year and how people can channel it. But we'll wait till we get Hans on, because I'm looking forward to talking to him. He's really an interesting character.
Yeah.
From everything I've been able to gather through social media and everything. For God's sake, the guy's got muscles in his hair. I mean, let's face it, the guy is in incredible shape.
And the fact that he's bald makes it even doubly prevalent that he's got muscles in his hair.
And we got a little bit in common that we were both former alcoholics, so I want to see what his method of getting off of alcohol is similar to mine,
I want to see
because it ain't an easy thing. They know I'm prouder of that than anything I've ever done in my life. Quit drinking, because this is, I guess I haven't had a drink in 13, 14 years. I had a guy tell me a long time ago at an AA meeting. I said, I haven't had a drink in 4 months. He goes, don't count. Don't count. He says, because once you start a year and a half, you start saying, I haven't had a drink in a year and a half. And you're just telling yourself that it's okay for you to go back and drink because it's been a year and a half since you had a drink. He says, just say, look, I don't drink anymore. End of story. So I don't know how long I've been off it, maybe 12, 13 years. But I had a guy in AA tell me, if you don't understand alcoholism, the compulsion of it, it's sort of like having diarrhea. It's a disease. You could say, I can say to you, Frank, listen, just go into the bathroom and shit hard. I do it all the time. Well, yeah, but you ain't got diarrhea. You know what I mean? It's a disease, and it's a genetic disorder.
Hey,
So
how
I'm
many?
interested to see.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, finish.
No, so I'm interested to see the methods that Hans used besides, obviously, the bodybuilding. You know?
Yeah, you mentioned shit harder. Why don't you tell me how many people you pulled off the can having heart attacks when you were a fireman?
You know, that's funny, but it's not funny. But elderly people, that's usually where, if we get called for a coronary, usually we find them in the bathroom, and you go to open the bathroom door, and they'd be jammed up against the door because they would have keeled over. I guess if you're constipated, you're straining, which is why I always recommend, Frank, to you, if you're going to go out and drink vodka and prune juice.
Well, I'm in on fruit. I love prunes. Whenever I get hungry, whenever I get a taste for candy or cake or anything like that, I'll reach in a bag and have a prune or two, and that satisfies my craving for sugar.
Well, Derek can know more about this than me, but from what I understand, sugar is pure poison. And one of the things when you stop drinking is that alcohol is loaded with sugar.
Yeah,
So that's why AA meetings.
you should save that conversation for Hans.
All right, yeah, no worries.
Yeah, he knows.
But don't get me wrong. You know, I haven't had a drink in 13, 14 years, but I'm not a Puritan. You know, I'm not a Puritan. I still like to smoke a little bit of devil's lettuce every now and then. You know, nothing to write home about. But I'm a firm believer and an advocate of herb and the products that byproducts from it. Like, do you have trouble sleeping, Frank? I'm 72.
Zero.
And you have no problem sleeping.
Zero. My head hits the pillow, I'm gone.
You must have a clear conscience.
I wake up next morning.
You have a clear conscience.
Yeah.
I have a whole lot of trouble sleeping.
Me
And
too.
I know people that take Ambien. You have trouble sleeping too,
Oh
Derek?
yes, my whole life.
Well, you know what? I know people that take Ambien, and they take a half an Ambien. Some people take Valium. You can go to the pot store. I know what they call it, dispensary. You go to the pot store, I call it, and you can tell them, I want edibles. And they'll ask you, they got it down to such a science. They say, well, what do you want them for? Do you want to kill pain? Because my wife eats a load of them to kill pain because she doesn't want to get on barbiturates because they're so habit forming. They're so, they're so addictive. So she eats these pot candies and for pain. And she brought, so I said, you know what? You got to eat back there for sleep, anything to make me sleep. And they gave me these gummy bears. And I take one before I go to bed. And I swear to God, I don't get high because I'm going to bed. And I sleep like a log, like a baby. No after effects in the morning, no hungover. And I know they're not addictive because I tell you, I first took a pot, I hit a pot in 1964 was the first time I ever tried marijuana in a Bronx. And I was so terrified. I said, I'm smoking dope. I mean, because you got to think back then days. Do you remember when Robin Mitchum got busted for smoking pot, Frank? Way
Yeah.
back when?
Yeah, I read about it.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know Robin Mitchum, and of course but I remember sitting at the table, at the dinner table with my father and mother, and I guess I was about 8 years old or 9 years old, and it was big headlines that Robin Mitchum got caught smoking pot, huge headlines. And my father said, well, that's the end of him. He's a dope addict. I'll have nothing to do with him no more. He's a dope addict. Because that was the attitude. And when I was 16 years old, somebody turned me on to pot and handed me a joint, and I was thinking to myself, man, I must be smoking dope. This is like, I'm 16 years old. This maybe is not smart, But I took a hit anyway because I am who I am. But I tried it. I said, all right, I'll give it a shot. But I don't think I even got high because the quality of the weed wasn't that good. And also, I was so nervous about what I was doing. But back then, and I remember this like it was yesterday, when you started smoking pot, you were 17, 18 years old back in 64, 65, and 66. It was like a secret club. I mean, the only people who smoked pot were like jazz musicians, rock and roll guys. And, if you saw somebody and they made a reference to it or something, you'd say like, oh, you're hip? Are you hip? It was like a wink. It was like a secret club, like that you smoke marijuana, As a matter of fact, interesting. You know where the term hip comes from? you ever hear, you know the term hip, right? You ever hear, you know where it comes from?
Sure.
Very interesting. I thought it's interesting anyway. When you smoke opium, in the old days, in the 20s and the 30s, when people smoked opium in New York and LA and whatever, Chinatown, you lie down and you smoke from the hookah, you smoke opium, but you got to roll over on your hip to take a hit of it.
Oh,
So they'd say, "Are you hip? Do you smoke opium?" That's where it came from.
wow.
You know, useless information, and any man I know.
Oh, useless. My ex-girlfriend used to say it all the time. Why didn't you just put a big cardboard box outside and say $2 to come in and stand next to the old man and listen to his?
Derek, why don't you tell me about your grandmother? She's 98?
Yes, my grandmother, she called, well, I think I called her on Christmas or Christmas Eve, and she said, I don't know if she want me sharing this, but I'll share it. She said, I'll share the clean version. She said that I'm 98 years old.
No. Give us the other version.
Well, she said I'm 98 years old, and she said I don't need help I don't need help taking a shower, and I don't need any help going to the bathroom either from anybody at 98 years old. And I thought that was amazing.
That's pretty remarkable, man.
Billy's going to
You
the.
think she'd like to go out with? You think she'd like to go out with a 72-year-old Irishman? She sounds pretty fascinating, you know.
Well, I don't know if that's a good idea because all of her boyfriends have died.
Yeah, I guess so. Like, you're 98. Yeah,
Right, you know?
Billy's going to the bathroom now.
that's right. I'm wearing Depends, Frank. That's it. That's why I got the big grin on my face. It's leaking right in there. I don't worry about going to the bathroom. But they say this when you get to be our age, there's two things you should never do. You should never pass a bathroom, and you should never waste a hard on.
Frank?
No comment.
No,
No comment. You know, you talk
but
about.
I got to tell you, I mean, I'm an advocate for this, for these podcasts. I'm going to bring you some of these, Frank. But I know I'm going to bring them for Derek because Derek doesn't sleep well. And these things, I mean, I think they're fantastic. I mean, you take one and they taste delicious. They're gummy bears, and you just suck on them, and then you go to sleep and you sleep like a log.
So what is,
Yeah,
is
I don't have any trouble falling asleep. You know, Muhammad Ali used to say he was so fast he could turn out the light and be in bed before it got dark. I'm the other way around. I could turn out the light and fall asleep before I hit the bed, and before it gets dark.
Wow,
Yeah.
my wife's like that.
Yep.
You're one of these guys that can sleep on barbed wire, right? Sleep on a picket fence, no problem. You can sleep anywhere.
Yes, I could sleep anywhere. As a matter of fact, in college, we used to go on road trips on a bus, and after games, we would obviously drive back after games. I would crawl up in the luggage rack and fall asleep because I was so tired. But I could sleep in the luggage rack of a bus.
Wow.
And
Oh man, I envy you. That's Frankie Chicklets is like that. Frankie could be talking to you, and all of a sudden he's out cold. How do you do that? You know, I can't. I wish the hell I could. But I find this. I don't want to take because I have an addictive personality, as you all know, compulsive. Whether it's gambling, drugs, alcohol, women. You know, I crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's. So I'm scared to death of pills because. Frankly, because I love the way they make me feel. Like if I take a Valium, the horses in my head quiet down. You know, they don't race everywhere, and I love that feeling. And I've always told my son, listen, find out what your drug of choice is. Find out what you like the most, and then stay as far away from it as possible. Like I know my drug of choice is booze because booze used to quiet the horses in my head too. You know, I'd still be wacky and running around, but it would quiet the rumbling in my head.
what kind of
And
drunk?
I know I can't drink.
Really, what kind of drunk were you? Were you a quiet drunk? Were you a nasty drunk?
Oh, I was loud and the life of the party. I mean, I was the kind of guy, and this is exactly the way I was. I'd walk into a bar, throw 200 on the bar, give me a triple Johnny Walker Black on the rocks, give the whole bar a drink, tell Billy O was in, you know, tell bar I'm here. And then I'd be loud, screaming, yelling, having fun, laughing. And sometimes, with the blow, I mean, I would drink for 2-3 days with no problem, and then I come home with no voice at all. My wife would be like, 3 days again, 3 days, and I go, because I was always trying to be louder than if it was a loud bar. I'd always be talking over everybody. But all the bartenders loved me because I always took care of the bartenders. And sometimes in Buffalo, I used to drink with this guy who was 300 pounds, and he wasn't 300 pounds fat. He was a big guy. He was like a football 300 pounds, And this guy would drink a bottle of vodka in an afternoon without even thinking about it, And I used to drink with him, drink for drink, so I'd pass out. And he'd pick me up, put him over his shoulder, drive to another bar, and I'd wake up at another bar on the stool. I said, how the hell did I get here? He says, just don't worry about it. Just have a drink. But all the bartenders knew me, so they all took care of me. But one time I told Buffalo, it was hilarious. This is before he died. He died a couple of years ago, a heart attack. He was about my age, but of course he was overweight. And he always abusive with the drink and the drugs. I said, hey, you son of a bitch. I said, I heard you got diabetes. I said, what are you doing with yourself? Stop the drinking. Already, stop. You're old enough now. Stop the drinking. You got diabetes. I heard you lost 3 toes. He goes, no. I know. He goes, I stopped. I said, what are you doing now? He said, I'm eating a box of Oreo cookies.
Oh, my
said,
God.
You stupid bastard. You stupid bastard. But I says, it's amazing to me, Buff. All the drinking I did with you, then I never caught diabetes. He says to me, diabetes? He says, I'm surprised you never got a concussion. You know how many times your head hit the bar?
Wow.
Yeah, that's the kind of drunk I was. But I was a lot of fun. I was living life in a bar. At least I thought I was anyway.
I saw a TV show called The Flight Attendant. It's on HBO Max. Have you seen it or heard of it at all? It's about a flight attendant who is an alcoholic, and she is a really, really bad alcoholic. And you want to check it out. It's 8-episode series on HBO Max, but it's a worthwhile look for someone who was an alcoholic or is an alcoholic. I guess you're always an alcoholic, but you may want to check it out.
Yeah, I will check it out. So far, I've seen a million movies about alcoholism, starting with The Lost Weekend with Ray Milland way back when. But the most accurate one I think I've ever seen is the one that Michael Keaton made, where he's hiding from bookmakers and he's trying to trick his way into a recovery program. But meanwhile, the guy's a mess. But of course, you don't know you're a mess until you start, getting into a program. But Buffalo told me one day, I was drinking tequila. And I'm sitting there and I said, I don't know what it is about this tequila. I said, I can drink this shit all day and I don't get drunk. And he says to me, you know why? He says, that's the lemons. He goes, when you bite the lemons and you have the salt with it, it keeps you sober. I said, really? Well, that morning, about 4:30 in the morning, I woke up, my head on the bar, and I had about 15 lemons splashed across my forehead. Another myth exploded. The bartender, come on, Billy, I got to get out of here. I wake up, and many's the time my wife, poor Teresa, I guess she never should have been called Teresa. Everybody called her poor Teresa. That's what everybody called her, poor Teresa. So poor Teresa used to dump rum and coke on my head. And whatever the hell I was drinking, she couldn't get me up to go home. She'd dump it over my head. And then, of course, she'd drive me home, and she'd leave me in the car because she wasn't going to carry me into the house. And I wake up in the back seat of the car, and my head would be all sticky. What the heck happened to my head? With no voice, dry mouth. I was a pretty bad drunk. But I think the worst drunks are the guys that drink at home. I never drank at home. Never.
Interesting.
No, I was into the whole mystique of it. The whole, the personality thing, the companionship, the laughs. I never drank at home. I was never a guy who kept beer in the house and drank at home or whiskey or anything. I just never did. Only else I had company.
Yeah, well, I never was much of a drinker because I don't like. I've told you this many times. I don't like the taste of alcohol, but I would never drink at home either. I just didn't see the purpose of it.
This flight attendant movie, is the chick a home drinker? Does she drink at home, or she just drinks all the time?
She drinks all the time, everywhere. Yeah, she's a hardcore alcoholic.
Well, I had a buddy of mine, Patty Smith. He's dead now, Lord of mercy on him. But Patty, he was a bartender, and he had quit 20 years before I did. But I asked him what kind of drunk he was. He said, Billy, I would get up in the morning and drink a bottle of brandy, pass out, and get up again and drink another bottle of brandy.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's like, I could never see the point of that. Like that's
what this flight attendant does. She would get up, she would hit the quart of vodka, she would finish the quart of vodka, and then just wake up and hit it again.
Wow.
Yeah, that's hardcore, man. My old man was hardcore. But them days, they didn't have the money to do the kind of shit I did, But that's why they all drank Boilermakers. He wanted to get drunk, and he wanted to get drunk fast. And a Boilermaker, was a beer. They used to give you the beer chaser for nothing. You ordered a shot of whiskey, and of course, he always went for this stuff called Fleischmann's. Fleischmann's whiskey is 92 proof. It's the strongest whiskey that they sell in the United States at the time, anyway. Seagram's 7 was like 82%, but Fleischmann's was 92%. And he'd drink shots of Fleischmann, and they give you the beer chaser for free. They'd fill up a beer chaser, and they were called Boilermakers. But every 3, they give you one buy back. So for maybe $5, you could drink 9 shots of whiskey in an hour and a half, and then he'd go home and have his dinner. And then he'd be passed out at 8 and up for work in the morning. But they never considered themselves alcoholics as long as they showed up for work.
Yeah.
If you showed up for work, you weren't an alcoholic. I don't think there are any. I swear to Christ, I don't think there are any AA meetings in Ireland. Every time I was in Ireland, oh man, I gotta plug my battery in. Every time I was in Ireland,
plug it in.
I never heard of AA meetings.
Plug it in.
How can you forget to plug your battery in?
Plug it
I
in.
had it at 100%. I don't know why it died so quickly.
Plug it in.
Yeah.
Yes, I will.
Oh.
Hang on. I'm back.
You're back, okay.
Say a few syllables. Utter a few adjectives. Now I gotta put this on.
Now we can see your keyboard.
Billy, you said that you hadn't seen any movies that fully represent true drunks. So what about Flight, Denzel Washington Flight?
Yeah, I saw that.
Is it?
That wasn't bad, but I still think the one with Michael Keaton was the best one I ever saw. Like the fact that he didn't know, that he was trying to pretend that he had a problem, because you know what it is, everything's relative. Like if I walked into the Tinker and I could sit there and drink a half a bottle of scotch at 11 o'clock in the morning, and I say to the guy next to me, how long you been here? I've been here since 7. And you already drank a bottle of vodka. So you say, well, I can't be too bad. This guy's worse than me, If you hang around, it narrows your world, just like any other compulsion. Yeah, alcoholics only want to hang around with alcoholics. Yeah, that's it.
We should save this conversation for Hans, because he's going to have a different perspective on it, and he'll come at it with a perspective of having been an alcoholic.
Right.
So let's save this conversation for Hans.
Okay.
Hey, Hans.
Hey, are you there?
Yeah. Okay, so let me see if I can.
That's game.
Hey, there we go.
Oh, there it is.
My friend. So, let's talk, because that'll.
I don't want to talk to him anyway.
Yeah.
I ain't picking a fight with you. You got muscles in your hair. Forget about it. There's no way you're going to get me angry at you. Forget it. Ain't going to happen.
Sister, I can put this on the knee.
Oh.
I like how he pulled it. He was sitting on it.
That's a good place for it.
If you're going to hold it up, at least hold it up so that people can read it instead of holding it up upside down. Look.
People should buy it and read it, and not me telling them how to read it.
Good. Good. Yes, perfect. Perfect. So, Derek, let me know when you want to introduce today's guest, Hans Sheen.
Okay, Frank.
Great. Well, it's my great pleasure to introduce our next guest, Hans Sheen, the American INBF, that's American International Natural Bodybuilder Federation Master Champion. How are you, Hans?
I'm doing really well. Good to see you, Frank. Nice to meet you, Bill.
My pleasure entirely, pal. I've been following you on Facebook. A remarkable story, just a remarkable story. How you turned your life around.
Thank you very
turned
much.
your life around.
Well,
I think it's very apropos, too, that it's New Year's, just a few days after New Year's, and everybody's looking for tips about how to turn their life around. And boy, oh boy, if anybody illustrates how to do it, it's you.
I appreciate the kind words. Really.
You're both very similar into you both turn your life around at advanced ages. Billy was 63. Hans was 53, I want to say. You both were, well, I know Billy was an alcoholic.
We were both we're both the same doctor, Dr. Walker.
Yeah, Dr.
Walker. And we don't call him Johnny. When you know him as good as we do, we call him Jack.
I
Walker.
had a call from Scotland, from the distillery. They said, first Billy, now you? What's up with that?
Yeah, I think I might have bought a wing for that gentleman's house. Whoever's the guy who makes Johnny Walker Black. So was that your drink of choice, Johnny Walker Black?
Bottle a day.
Whoa.
A bottle a day. Wow.
Yeah.
And Hans, you almost got up to, well, we got a before picture of Hans. Why don't you put up photo number 1? It's not a very good picture, but it'll give you an indication of where Hans came from to where he is now. So Derek, well, that's one of the photos. Why don't you put up the beach photo also, where he's a little bit more looking like a whale.
How kind.
Wow, beautiful.
You can hardly tell it's Hans, but it's an indication.
The camera didn't want to even take that picture.
Yeah, the camera didn't want to take that picture. So a little bit about your background, Hans. You're obviously a German from Munster.
Yes, Munster, born in Munster, went to high school, we have a very good university there, went to law school there. And then I figured out that law is not that I don't want to be a lawyer, and I came to the U.S.
But you were a lawyer in Germany?
I finished my state exam, didn't go to the bar, finished my university state exam to take the bar, become a lawyer, and then I said, how the hell with it.
So in them days, that was the only bar you didn't pass. Every other bar you passed.
Exactly. That's exactly right. I just thought about it when I said it.
It seems like you're sitting in a gym. Is that something that you put together yourself, or you in your house, or you outdoors?
Well, I'm a very competitive person. So usually you go into a gym and you look at other people and you want to get better than that guy, and you're going to be better than that young guy and show off the 30-year-old guy. But with COVID, they were all closed. So, and I have to, continue training and maintaining. And so what started out with just let's get a couple of weights, now you just see a little bit. It's a full-blown gym. I mean, there's nothing here that is, I don't know if I can take the camera and swing it around real quick, if that would work.
Do it.
We can try it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now this is the basement of Hans's house, which is
Garage.
Sorry.
I live in California.
Wow.
We don't have basements.
Yeah, Billy. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
That's right. I guess not. I found it interesting that you said that when you're in the gym, you like to look better than the 30-year-old guy. It sort of motivates you.
Yeah, sure. It's always when you have a lot of people around you. First of all, if somebody says, "Hey, Hans, you look good," it's good for your ego, and you get a little bit motivated. And if you see somebody that is 25 years old and is on steroids, and you still can parlay him, so that's also good.
So, Hans, you talk about 25-year-olds on steroids. You've never taken a steroid. You're a natural bodybuilder.
Never in life. Even when I played soccer, nothing.
Let's go back, maybe 30 years ago to Arnold Schwarzenegger, and you were hanging out at Patty's Roadhouse, right?
Yeah.
And why don't you tell us that little story, because you weren't a bodybuilder then, but he was.
No, I was on the periphery. I was making gym clothes. I was in the schmata business. So I was making gym clothes and suits and whatnot. And a lot of my friends from Europe, they were hardcore bodybuilders, and they were always going to Santa Monica so they can work out at the Gold's Gym with Arnold and with Lou and with all these guys. And
also?
Yeah. So
This is Lou Ferrigno. We're talking about Lou Ferrigno. Is that right?
Yeah. Lou, you look so small today.
That was funny.
So
That's a great line.
So yeah, and Gary Stridham, who was the world champion at that time, and Mr. Universe, and Arnold would show up there almost every other day. But then afterwards, there were two breakfast places. One was directly in Santa Monica around the corner that was called Rose Cafe. Well, it's still there, and then there's another one which is down the PCH, and it was Paddy's Roadhouse, and it was actually Paddy was an Irish guy, so older gay Irish guy, and he was happy that all the bodybuilders were coming in after training, and having breakfast there. So I went over there with my friends who just finished their training, and we were talking about, because we had some photo shoots in the afternoon about new shirts coming in and whatnot. So I was sitting there, and I just got my breakfast, and then there's a guy reaching in from the back, and he says, you don't need your eggs, you don't go to competition. And he just takes my eggs away and gives it to one of them. So I turned around, I was going to say something, but obviously I recognized the voice right away, and I just said quietly, hello, you know. So, and ever since Frank and I, we know each other for almost over 20 years now, Frankie. Do you know that?
Yeah, it's just about 20. Well, yeah, it's over 20 years. I think we met in the year 2000 when I was coaching the Sacred Heart soccer team.
Yeah.
A lot of my girl players were playing for your club team.
Exactly. So yeah, it was. But anyway, so very early when we met, I told him the story. You know, I was still not in bodybuilding or anything. You know, so every single time we go, and we always go have something to eat and whatnot. Frank, you don't need the eggs.
What I think is so funny about that is there's a German guy doing a German accent of another German guy.
It's an Austrian.
Oh, that's right. He's Austrian. That's right.
He's Austrian.
Yeah, that's
But
right.
you do a great Arnold, and I love the
Yeah,
line
that's good.
where you're breaking each other's balls, where he would look at Lou Ferrigno and say, "You look so small today." I think that's hilarious.
Yeah, he always would. He always would walk around in the gym and talk to the guys. Were just, you know, their head was almost exploding, you know, because they're lifting so heavy. And he would go there, "It's feather light. Put some light as a feather."
So he likes to talk a lot of shit on him. He's a ball
All
breaker.
the time.
Really?
I don't know how much I can tell, and I'm allowed to tell before somebody knocks at my door with that accent. But he would on the biggest stage. I remember the biggest stage was the Mr. Olympic in Vegas, and he would hide the posing trunks of a couple of guys. You know, before they have to go on stage, 5 minutes before they have to go on stage, they were in their normal training pants, you know, pumping in the back, you know, get the pump up, the little muscle pump up, and then he would go to the locker room and just take their little posing trunks, you know, and hide them somewhere, and there was just chaos over there. And when you are completely depleted for the show, you have to be on the spot. On the time you go on stage, you have to be on spot. That means there's a lot of stuff that goes in there, but you're depleted of complete carbohydrates, and you are agitated, and you are in a bad mood, and then have 280 pounders running around looking for their little banana hammock. Hilarious. Hilarious.
Hans, you are thrilled when Arnold became governor.
It was I enjoyed the view because you know where I live, and Arnold cleaned up the air in LA, so I'm pretty much happy about that. Yeah, of course I was. You know me, I'm apolitical. I really don't give a big fart about anything. It's been interesting the last 4 years, to say the least. But yeah, when he said, this is a true story. Arnold, when he was in his younger age, in the 80s, he said that he's going to become a politician, and I'm going to marry a Kennedy. That's what he said before he even met Maria.
That's amazing.
That's what he said. I'm going to be a movie star, I'm going to be a politician, and I'm going to marry a Kennedy. That's what he said.
That's remarkable.
Yeah.
He almost willed himself into it. I mean, that's
willed
remarkable.
himself into everything.
Yep. He willed himself into it, and he made it happen.
Yeah.
Well, you obviously you have to have the same kind of determination. I mean, you were drinking a quart of Johnny Walker Black a day.
0.7.
That's a load of sugar, man. That's a lot of sugar.
0.7 on a good day, a liter bottle.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Man, so how did you do it, man? How did you decide, like, you know what? I'm putting the plug in the jug, and that's it. I ain't drinking no more. Did you go to meetings? Did you go to AA meetings?
Cold turkey.
You cold turkey. You had the cold turkey.
Yeah, I had to cold turkey.
Why don't you tell the story about how you were in Taiwan, and how you had a tumor, and how you had to have an operation.
It's not a tumor.
It's not a tumor.
It's not a tumor. With me, it's not a tumor. Well, I was working in Taiwan. I have an apartment in Taiwan, and I work with some factories in Taiwan.
And you're
working as what, Hans?
Work for me?
No, working as what in Taiwan? What were you doing in Taiwan?
Oh, I'm a chemical engineer, but specialized in leather production and in service protection. So I don't want to brag, but I have a few patents in high leather performance technologies, and I had a little company, and then the company was bought by Mechanics Wear. It's a big glove manufacturer, PPE manufacturer.
Hey, Hans, let me interrupt you for a second. Derek, can you put up photo number 10? Yeah. Now you can continue. Go on, Hans. Continue.
So you see all the trophies here. So this was I can show you this real quick. This is my favorite trophy because this is when Mechanics Wear. I'm sorry to get a glare. When Mechanics Wear bought my little company that made all of this and my comfortable lifestyle probable now. So, but I wasn't coming back to the store. I was in Taiwan, and I had to get ready to a meeting in the morning, and I went into the shower, and then I remember waking up on the floor. I was bleeding. I was black and blue everywhere, and one of my technicians, he was staying with me in the apartment. It's a pretty big apartment, so when we have people over there, we all stay there. So he pulled me out of the shower, and I still had my underwear on, and the whole room was steamy. I have no recollection whatsoever what happened. So it turned out, to make a long story short, that I had a small stroke and a huge seizure, and I was flopping on the floor for 10, 15, 20 minutes. And then they pulled me out, put me on the floor in the living room, called another guy, and they rushed me to the hospital right away. So I was getting back to normal, kind of like figuring out where I was and try, but I didn't know what happened. So we went to the hospital in Linchun Hospital. Yeah, and then
you see where they're had to have drawn on his head to where they're going to make incisions.
Cuts.
Yeah, that's the whole plate that they took out.
Yeah. Wow.
I still have, I don't know if you see this, I still have this. But anyway, so we went to the hospital and they did immediately a scan because the doctor, that was the funniest thing, Dr. Wang, he was the chief of neurology in Germany, in a hospital in Germany for 10 years, which is about 30 miles from where I was born.
Wow.
So he spoke a little German, he spoke English, and they did a scan, and then he said, well, we want to do an MRI because we saw a shadow on your frontal lobe. So they did an MRI. I had to wait, and then he called me back in his office, and he said, I don't know how else to tell you, but you have a massive, massive tumor sitting in your right frontal lobe. And I don't know, I cannot explain it, but everything kind of like gets dark, black, and you don't hear, you don't see anything, and you're just in complete shock, but just a brain tumor, I thought that was it. I thought, give me the bucket, I kick it, and that's it. And then he said, well, you have half an hour. We have to immediately open you up, take the pressure off, or you're going to have another stroke, and you're not going to survive it. And I asked him, the only thing that I asked him, I said, how the fuck, I'm sorry, can I have a brain tumor? He said, well, didn't you ever have headaches? And I said, yeah, but that was my natural hangover, every 24 hours. And he said, well, the problem is that the tumor grew in the right frontal lobe, and the right frontal lobe of your brain is like in a computer, like storage. So there are no motorics or anything, none of your vitals, so to speak. And he said it might have been grown there for 30 years, And then he said, did you have any kind of trauma 30 years ago or 25 years ago? So, and I said, yeah, I was in a bad car accident, head-on car accident. And so he said, well, that might be it, that grew and grew and grew and grew. So they said, you have half an hour. If you want to make a phone call, but we have to cut you open right away.
And you were in Taiwan, so you must have been very, very nervous about the quality of health care that you were going to get in Taiwan.
Well, not only that, you don't know what happened. I did not know if I'm going to make it, to tell you the truth. Right. If somebody tells you have a massive brain tumor, it's not like a hernia, that you say, okay, fine, I can live without this, I can live without a leg, I can live without whatever. But if somebody says you have a massive brain tumor and you have half an hour to make a phone call, that scares the bejeebies out of you. Yeah. So I wasn't, and I dated that girl that you met, Rachel.
And so she went over,
I called my sister, let my sister know that I'm going to have a procedure in Taiwan. I didn't want to freak her out. I called then my partner at Harbinger. This is also a fitness company. And then I called Rachel, and I said, Rachel, because I was supposed to fly back the very next day or 2 days later, and she was going to pick me up from the airport. So I said, and we just went out for 3 or 4 or 5 dates, knew each other for a couple of weeks, few weeks. But I did buy a diamond ring and wanted to propose to her when I saw her at the airport. So, but anyway, so I called her and said, it's going to be delayed, and but I'm having trying to wiggle around it. But she immediately, pressured and this and this and this. I said, hey, look, I have a brain there's something wrong with my brain. There's a tumor or something, and they're just going to take it out. And so I don't know how long it takes, but I'm not going to be back on Thursday. I'm going to be back in a little while, you know. And then she said, I'm coming. I said, okay, I can make the arrangements. Please call the office. But you really don't have to, you know. And she said, no, I'm coming. So she called my partner. My partner gave her a business class ticket round trip to Taiwan. Some of my two of my technicians, they went to the airport and picked her up in Taiwan, because from the Taiwan to where I was about a 2-hour drive, 2-hour ride with a train, with a fast speed train.
How long was the procedure?
12 hours.
So she was
12 hours? You were under the knife for 12 hours?
12 hours, yeah.
So
Well,
she was there when you came out of the procedure?
No, she was there the day after, because we are 17 hours ahead. It was in the summertime, so we are 15 hours ahead in Taiwan. So she came. I was in the ICU for 2.5 days. So by the time I got out of the ICU, she came to the hospital.
And the press made a big deal out of it. The Taiwanese.
That was just the weirdest thing and funkiest thing ever. In Taiwan, these hospitals are private-owned hospitals, so they have their own, you know, marketing department and this and that. So I told the doctor, and I said, "Hey, look, I can't stay here. You cannot operate. You know, let me go back to the States. I'm going to the doctor over there." And he said, "No, you can't. There's absolutely no. You have to be. You know, we have to open your brain right now." And I said, I was going to propose to my girlfriend 2 days from now. And he said, well, you know, she has to wait a little bit longer. So he got that background story. So while I was under and in the ICU, they made a big deal out of it. They called the newspapers and the media and whatnot. And it happened to be that the day that I got out of the ICU was Taiwanese Valentine's Day. I had no idea, you know. So they got Rachel, and I woke up. They brought me into my room. I woke up, and there were freaking balloons everywhere. It says, "Welcome, Rachel. Hello, Rachel. I love you, Rachel." You know. And I said, "What the hell?" You know, teddy bears. You know, typical over the top. You know, Kitty. You know, Miss Kitty, Asian style. You know, and then suddenly the door opened. There's like 5 guys with cameras walking in. Rachel is amongst them. I didn't even see her at first. You know, then everybody was saying, Sailbeh, go to Sailbeh. And then she had to go to the side of the bed, and then the cameras, and then suddenly somebody stuck a microphone. And I said, well, I thought to myself, I couldn't talk. You know, I just saw that, you know, I was still drooling. You know, my head felt like I was laying with my head on a 2x4 and somebody's hitting it with a sledgehammer on the side, you know, so, but they made this big deal out of it. And what you saw, the picture that you saw, you know, I had to propose, you know, so they said, propose now.
Hey, listen, you hit the jackpot there, pal. Not only were you lucky that you're alive, obviously you married a beautiful woman and a sticker besides. She's a real deal.
I always tell her, I said, do you imagine the shit that I went through to convince you to say yes? Who has cut open just for you to come around?
So before I go off that, why don't you put up picture number 3, Derek, so we can see the damage that was done to Hans's brain.
Oh, that damage was done before.
Yeah, well, I know that.
Brain damage I was born with.
You look like a basketball.
Yeah.
Your top head looked like a basketball. There it is right there.
Yeah.
Look at that.
I felt like a slider.
Yeah. I mean, that's
low outside.
Yes. So you were forced then, because of the medications and drugs you had to take.
Right.
The doctor said to you, "I don't want you to have another drink. And if you have a drink, it'll kill you." So you
Right.
had to cold turkey.
Yeah, that's what the doctor said. The doctor told me, and he showed me, and what alcohol does in your brain, that it turns into vinegar and that it aggravates the brain cells and it kills brain cells and whatnot, and what it does. And he said, anything from now on that is altering your regular brain function right now, so anything, any drugs, too much coffee, and he said especially alcohol, you die.
Wow.
So
Wow. So it wasn't just alcohol. You have to be very careful about anything that you put into your body.
yeah, I can't get herbed up. I don't know what it does. I haven't tried it, but he said everything that is altering your brain function. He said for sure alcohol. You have to be very, very careful not to take any kind of medicine outside of the medicine that I'm taking 10 pills every day now. 10 pills, 5 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, 3 at night.
Wow.
And
Are
then
they medicinal, or they're just health pills, or what are they? Vitamins?
because of that, I have epilepsy. So I developed epilepsy and after I got back to the States, I had a few seizures. I had one seizure in the gym. I think did I send you that picture with the outline of the gym?
No.
Oh, yeah, I had a seizure in the gym, and I got, they had to, and you have no idea when you have seizures, you have the strength of a lion. They had to hold me down with 3, 4 firemen, and then they rushed me and my seizures were so bad, they were like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and when you wake up from a seizure, your brain is like a computer. It has to be restarted. You see a phone, but you may know what a phone is, but you don't know how to use it. Even if you have a seizure by yourself, it takes you a while to figure out how to call 911. I had a seizure once at home, and I didn't know how to use the doorknob to get the bedroom door open to get out, and all you can do is cry for help. That's all you can do.
So what was your motivation to channel your obsessiveness into bodybuilding?
Well, it was with what Billy said earlier. It's that it's New Year's. People do make all kinds of lists of what they want to do and how they want to change their life and whatnot. So when I got back from that trauma, I figured out I'll make a list. What I can do, what I should do, and what I want to do. And so when I had the list what I can do, that was easy. What I cannot do, that was easy. You cannot drink, fuck it. You cannot smoke, fuck it. You cannot do drugs, fuck it. I mean, I didn't take much drugs, after the 80s and anyway. So, but I could coffee and all of this and partying and there was not a problem, and then I just looked at the list of what I wanted to do. And, I wanted to spend as much time as I have in my life with my beautiful wife, Rachel. I wanted to still go, work in my job. I still want to go travel. I still want to go on vacation. And I want to enjoy every day, for the rest of my life. And then I had to kind of how to explain, glue it together like a sandwich. So here's the part that I can't do. Here's the part that I want to. What's the part in the middle that I have to do in order to get there? And that was just started out with eating clean. So I started eating clean, losing more and more weight, and getting in a better shape. And then
what do you think you weighed when you had the tumor? 240, 245?
Well, yeah, about 225. I was already, it's the alcohol, So you go from 235 to 225 within 6 hours, and vice versa. I mean, Billy, you kind of like
Alcohol alcohol is all sugar. When you go to AA meetings, and I know you didn't have to do that, but there's a reason that people have cookies and candy, and they're all drinking Pepsi because the body wants sugar.
No, I do the same thing. I cannot be left alone with chocolate. You know, I have the same thing. You know, and I eat.
When I quit. I used to keep Chunkies, the chocolate bar Chunkies in my glove compartment, because I still used to have to go into bars because I was a bookmaker to collect money, and I couldn't go into a bar without eating 2 or 3 chocolates first because
no, the same,
alcohol. You know, I needed the sugar.
Same with me. I went like years when I don't get the sugar that I will start shaking and you know and you know. But yeah, I was husky. I was medium husky.
You were fat.
Yeah, well, but here's the thing. When you're fat, none of your friends come to you and say, look, fat fuck, what is wrong with you? Stop eating, stop drinking so much. You look like shit. Nobody says that. But if you lose weight, then suddenly everybody comes to you. Are you okay? Is everything okay with you?
Yeah.
AIDS? Is it AIDS? No.
Well, that's like when you get to be Billy and my ages. Everybody says you look good. Nobody ever says you look good when I was in my 40s, when I was in my 50s, when I was in my 30s. When I hit 65, 70, gee, you look good. Compared to what, you fuck?
Yeah, but they always qualify it. I've had many women say, you know, you look good for your age.
Yeah.
Your age. That always gets underneath it. Hans has surpassed that. I mean, he just looks good. His body is not the body of a 60-year-old man, that's for sure.
Well,
is genetic? Does alcoholism run in your family? Is it a genetic thing? You think?
Not at all.
You have a history?
No, I tell you what how I started drinking so heavily because I was blessed to work for big companies. So, and my job was always in Asia, Europe. So we're talking about 13, 14, 15-hour flights. And they always put me in business class, you know, so drinks are free. And when we're talking about, you know, flying Emirates and Lufthansa and Cathay Pacific, we're talking, you have the choice between black, gold, and blue label, you know.
Wow.
Another drink, Mr. Sheen. And who says no to a free blue label? You know, and then you sit 17 hours, you know, although it's very comfortable in business class, but you just sit there, you know. You can't work. It's you know, your mind is just going, you know, and you just start drinking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until you're shit-faced and you can sleep for a few hours, you know. Yeah. So, and that's how it happens.
So, Hans, when did the fitness turn into bodybuilding?
Well, somebody came to me after about 4 years or so. I was working out 4 years, and I stuck with with my nutrition. So everybody has to know, if you do bodybuilding or sport on a high level, 70% is nutrition anyway, you know. So without the discipline of nutrition, there's nothing you can do to change your body, you know. So so somebody came to me and said, hey, you know what? They have a contest in Monrovia, in the high school in Monrovia, and it's in 3 months or so, and it's a bodybuilding, but it's natural bodybuilding, and you could actually go and compete, you know. And then I call it's the men's bikini class. They have before the bodybuilding, it's called physique. So you do in board shorts, and you have like an athletic beach body, you know. That's the category. So, and I said, yeah, why not? You know, why not? You know, and like I said, you know, I played all my life sports at a competitive nature. So I put a shovel coals on the engine and, you know, worked out a little bit harder. And then And then I learned what's involved in there in this whole thing. You know, it's like science to get ready for these shows and to get your body right on point. And you have to go down on when I won the Masters, the first picture that you showed, I was at 2.5% body fat.
Wow.
And that is almost,
That's remarkable.
Yeah, you can do that for a few days before your body shuts down, So
Wow.
Yeah, you.
So it's really dangerous. It's actually dangerous to be that fit.
Yeah, but that's that. You see, you see my skin. I'm 60 years old there, and you can look through my skin. It's like paper. You can see every muscle strain, every vein, every tendon. And as soon as you get off stage that day, it is like 2 German apple strudels, 3 pizzas, 2 buckets of ice cream, and off season now, now I eat everything, but you see there's I don't have the striations, it's just little pudgy, but that's good because that's what we do during the off season. We only get ready but anyway, to answer your question, Frank, then I thought, I don't know if I can go to a real competition. So for the first time, unprepared. And somebody said, well, there's a fun competition in Venice Beach, Muscle Beach, where all the legends were, footsteps of the legends. And it's like Memorial Day. And so I went down there, and I got my first participation trophy. It was, but it was fun. You were on Muscle Beach. There were like 2,000-3,000 people there, and hollering and whatnot. But it's an open. It's not natural. So little Hans, I was in between those bodybuilders that were on gear all their lives. But and then I just got hooked to these competitions.
You said, come down to Muscle Beach. I want to do one competition.
One competition.
One competition, and then I'm through.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
That's what I thought too. And then it went from this, it went then to this.
Nice.
And then it went from there to the big championship to this, and then I did, and then me, Frankie, I'm not necessarily an introvert, so
No kidding.
yeah.
So your short term motivation was to get ready for that one contest, but
Yeah.
the discipline that it took to do that triggered you onto a lifestyle that
Correct.
you really didn't want to come back from.
Correct. It's really, really fun. But the competition is not the competition. It's not the day of the competition on stage with the athletes you compete against. The competition is the 3 months in the gym to get ready. The competition is not to eat the little potato that's there, or not to have more than 6 ounces of chicken per meal, to have 6 meals a day, small meals a day, to do cardio, to go through your training program. That's the competition. Once you're on stage, that's all extra. That's the icing of the cake, and you get either rewarded for the effort that you did, or you don't get rewarded for the effort. But it doesn't matter. My participation trophy of 5th place in this subcategory is worth more to me than the being Mr. WFF, WWFF, So because I fought like crazy to to get into this lifestyle of a bodybuilder to get ready for that show, for that little stupid show.
Well, it's a remarkable story, and I give you credit for that.
Oh, it's amazing, amazing.
And you overcame your chicken legs, and you overcame.
Yeah.
And you had to learn how to pose too.
I'm 6'2". I was a soccer player all my life and a sprinter all my life, so I have really long legs, and it is hard to put muscle on long legs. And my legs, let's put it this way, my legs were so thin. I got whistled at in Miami by flamingos.
I understand. My mother used to say my legs look like two pieces of straw hanging out of a loft.
Yeah, my wife.
One thing you said blew me away, and this is for guys that might be listening, or women that might be listening. Regardless of the amount of exercise, it starts with the diet, and you can't change your body without the diet.
70% for a bodybuilder, 80 to 90% is nutrition.
So that's a good segue into the next thing I want to ask you. Coming off of COVID, coming off the holidays, coming off the people who have gained an extra 15 or 20 pounds.
Like me.
What, like Derek, you never gained 15 or 20 pounds in your life, but I know Derek will have an interest in this. How do you cut weight? I mean, how can you? You know, I always used to say I don't drink calories. You know.
Well, the thing is, you know, well, the biggest thing, talking of which, you know, is stay off booze. You know, and if you want to do some booze once in a while, or do shots of white liquor, you know, vodka and gin, you know, and what's that Mexican stuff?
Tequila. Wait, so you're saying you're saying white liquor only or dark liquor?
Yeah, white liquor only, because that has the lowest sugar and the lowest calories. You know, if you go to Scotch, you know, then you know the blended Scotch, that's pure sugar. One of those larger, like they have now, glasses of red wine is 12 tablespoons of sugar in one glass.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
But even drinking white liquor, you still drink enough of it, you're going to get hungry, and you get hungry, you're going to eat.
Yeah. Well, you can't do a Hasselhoff. You can't get a burger with a Hasselhoff.
Well, rum is pure sugar. Rum is the worst of the bunch.
Is pure sugar. But
that's the worst of the bunch.
Stay away from booze and lower your carb intake. You know?
How do you feel about dietary supplements, about vitamin D, vitamin C? Should people be taking them?
It's always good to take supplements. It's always good to have vitamin C. It's always good to have zinc. I take a lot of zinc because it's good for your brain. Although people say they haven't seen any changes with my stupidity, so I don't know if zinc is effective. So, I mean, you take supplements, but a supplement is the wrong word for it. It's not a supplement. It doesn't, you know, like they said, supplement a meal with a shake. Well, that's bullshit, you know, or supplement your vitamin D, you know, with a pill. It's good to take a pill, but you can get all the supplements that you take. You can throw them also in the trash and go to the farmer's market, or go to any market, you know, and buy fresh fruit and eat clean. You know, you get everything from that.
Say fresh fruit, lean meats and fish, green vegetables. Is that the key to losing weight?
You can always. People say it's so boring. I make pancakes in the morning by taking egg whites. I put in 2 scoops of protein powder and just a little tiny bit of almond vanilla milk. Mix it up, and you put it in a frying pan, and you got protein pancakes.
But do you eat that now, or do you eat that when you're trying to cut weight?
Well, when you cut, then it's a total different thing. I don't think if you don't compete, and if you're not a bodybuilder, so to speak, you don't have to go through a cutting phase. You know, I mean, cutting phase, you know, you go bananas. You know,
Okay.
but if you have,
what do you put on those pancakes?
Costco has a great non-sugar syrup. There's nothing in there. Tastes good, but don't give the pancake swim lessons in the in the syrup. You know? Just sprinkle a little on it. You know,
when you first went into the gym, when you first started your program, when you first started working out, obviously it was gradual. How long did you spend in the gym initially? 3 days a week, 5 days a week, an hour a day? What'd you do?
Here's the thing: you cannot work out every day. You know, if you work out every day, you can be a marathon runner. Has to work out every day. You know, a bicycle racer, Tour de France, you have to work out every day. If you want to build muscles don't get bigger in motion; they get bigger in rest. So you have to have rest periods. So if you want to strengthen your body, you have to have a lot of rest. You have to have at least 8 hours of sleep at night, and don't overdo it. I see people that go to the gym for 2-3 hours a day. I don't even know. There's no rhyme or reason for it, you know. So if you have a set a program, you start out with 30 minutes of cardio. You know, go on a bike or a treadmill or whatever. Or here's an idea: walk to the gym. You know, people that drive 20 minutes to the gym or 10 minutes to the gym, and then they go for 2 hours on the treadmill. You know, so no, but you do a little cardio, and then you do some weights, and then you divide your body into 3 parts. You know, so you do back, chest, arms, and legs. It's 4, but you do the shoulders and the back. You can do together. So one day you work out on your shoulders, on your back. The next day you work out on your chest, biceps, triceps, and then you have a leg day. But in between, you have to rest.
So Hans, you know, Rod Carew always used to say when he was hitting, he would only hit for 15 minutes. 15 minutes would be the max, because then he would start to get lazy and build bad techniques.
Yeah, you lose your form.
Yeah, so you say the same thing in bodybuilding.
Same thing, and the thing is also people, your muscle does not know. What I see all the time is how they are fighting with the weights and to pull it down or to lift it up. You know, that's what Rod Carew says. You know, you start getting bad form, then you don't isolate your muscles. You know, you're jerking things up, and your muscle does not know the difference between 15 pounds and 20 pounds. When your muscle is tired, the muscle is tired. So take a weight if you're comfortable with, and do your exercise for 45 minutes, different muscle groups, and that's it. That's good, and then rest.
Tell me, if you're doing bench presses, suppose you're a novice, you know, and you're doing bench presses.
Yeah.
It's better to do it real slow. Is it better to do it slow and steady, or is it, you know, throw it up there with more weight?
There's not really one rule for it. You know, it's the right thing to do is you start working out and you do a discipline like bench press. So you start out with a light weight and you do the bench press and you concentrate on your chest and on your outer chest, inner chest. When you pump it up, to isolate it, not that you push it with your arms, then it's too heavy, you know, or if you just push it up, it's too light. And then you figure out while you work out, if you do a little bit more of repetitions or a little bit more weight, however your body reacts to it. Every body reacts to exercises differently. You know, that's the key. If you work out, don't look at a workout tape. Don't look on TV and have DVDs and whatnot. You can do that for cardio, but not for workout, because everybody is different, and every muscle reacts different on the motion. The only thing is what Frank said on the Rod Carew. 15 minutes, I get my perfect swing, I get my repetition, I get my muscle memory of what it is. And after that, if I get tired in my left shoulder or right shoulder or my elbow hurts, then I start compensating for it one way or the other. And then I get bad habits. You know, then my swing is not round anymore. Then I jerk. Then it's the same thing with your body. It's the same thing with your body. If you get tired, if your muscle is tired, stop.
Right.
If it
Wow.
I got a couple. Yeah.
Why don't I give you the last couple of questions for Hans? I'll give it to Derek.
Yeah, I have a bunch of questions, but I'll start with, did you work out before you got into competition? How much did you work out before?
I maybe worked out once or twice a week,
Okay.
but I worked out wrong.
Right.
You know, that's what I'm trying to show but that's the point that I'm trying to make. You work out wrong. You don't work out, you don't isolate your muscles, you don't do the form right, you compensate, you work 3, 4, 5 muscle groups at the same time. It's like they said, a simple example is like they said, when you pick up the weight, the box, pick it up from your legs, not from your back, So that makes a huge difference, and that people do that in the gym with weights. Instead of using it from the legs or from the arms, they pull it with the shoulders or the back. That's where injuries happen.
Okay. And then, so did you notice was there a strength difference or a energy level difference when you were younger, or do you feel as strong as you did at 60 as you did at 50 and 40 and so on?
Oh, no. Once your testosterone level goes down, and that's when you hit 50, 99.9% of us, of guys, we can't help it, our testosterone level goes down, then it's really, really hard because it slows down your metabolism, right. But the thing is, it's 99% also is in your head.
Right.
Yogi Berra, I'm not as a German, I shouldn't even mention you. But that 90% is all mental, and it is.
Yeah. That was going to be my next question. Is what do you do about the testosterone levels? Because I am aware. I mean, some studies say that sort of decreases in percentage. So when you hit 40, it's like you get 40% less testosterone, and at 50, 50% less. I'm sure that's a little inaccurate, but what do you do about that?
Well, I have to do it through nutrition. Okay. Because being with the Natural Bodybuilding Federation, we get tested.
Right.
So we get, before competition, somebody could knock on your door and said, pee in the cup. Right. Because you could take something, and then lower it down before the competition. The night, this is the best, Billy, you're gonna like this. The day before the competition, we all have, every competitor has to take a lie detector test. But this is not just a rinky-dinky lie detector test. These are guys from the ex-FBI, ex-Secret Service, ex-police. They're taking these lie detector tests, and it's a great racket. You have 200 competitors. Everybody has to pay $60 cash for a lie detector test, and he sits in his hotel room. But I would say 1 out of 10, sometimes 2 out of 10, will be disqualified because they didn't pass the lie detector test.
Really?
Oh,
wow!
They find you. They find. Well, first of all, the day of the competition, the judges will see if you're dirty or not. Because there are certain muscles and certain masses on muscles that you cannot achieve clean.
Right.
So when you see football players, with their neck and they have, trapeze muscles like crazy, you can't get that naturally. That is just full of gear. So you can be disqualified the day of competition.
It seems like bodybuilding is more stringent than the NFL. I mean, it seems like lie detector test.
Natural bodybuilding is. We have a list. We get every year a new list. It's the same list that they have for the Olympics of substances that will disqualify you.
Hans, do any of the medications that you take do they conflict with that list?
When I became a member and a competitor and I started winning, they asked me the same question. So I had to give all my medication to their lab and to their doctors, and they evaluated if there's anything in there that is performance enhancing. And there is one medication that I take that is for the pituitary gland, and that also helps me with my testosterone household, but on a natural way. It just because through the operation the pituitary gland was affected and wasn't sending signals for testosterone. So, and then they evaluate if that is actually helping me or not. And so the result was that is it's not helping me, but on the other side, if I don't take it, I may have a seizure on stage, So they said, okay, so it's not. But you have every medication that you take, prescription, you have to have them clear it.
How about the little blue pills that Billy takes by the handful?
Oh, you mean the M&Ms?
Yeah.
Yeah, I eat them like M&Ms too.
The bedside M&Ms? No, I'm so
I eat enough of that to give everybody in this picture a stiff neck.
This is another story, Schwarzenegger story, and as I'm sitting here, we're sitting there, and this topic came up from somebody who was taking some gear, and we call it gear, taking steroids, and he said that he wants to change the steroid because it doesn't get him hard, enough to have sex with his girlfriend, and then Ani heard it so with one of his ears, and he looked over to her. Don't be a pussy. You got to will it in. You got to will it in.
Well, you've been a great guest. It's been a pleasure having you. Give my love to Rachel.
I sure will. Give my love to Karen, and
yes,
especially to little Frankie.
And by the way, have you been reading anything lately?
No. Once in a while, when there's a table that's wobbly, I put this under there. I was not high enough for the interview, so I put this under my ass. I'll tell you one thing though, I'm not a big reader, but immensely enjoyed it. I mean, some of the stories I knew from us being friends for so long, but reading them and the way it was written, was twice the pleasure. It was really, really cool.
Well,
and the only thing is, I got I had an invitation to go to Russia next year, Moscow, this year, Moscow, for a competition. It used to be in Kiev, but now it's in Moscow. And the first thing when I got the invitation, I thought to myself, oh, I can see the stiff.
Yeah. Mike Tyson's story.
The Mike Tyson story.
Yeah, that's the first.
I told you that story probably about 2010, 2012, and you said, "How have I not heard that story before?"
I know. But I got in the mail the card, and you get vouchers for the tickets, for the flight tickets and whatnot when you're invited to these competitions. And so the first thing I said, "Ooh, I can see the fifth."
That's awesome.
Thank you so much, Hans.
Thank you, guys.
Pleasure to meet you, Hans. Really,
It's-
thank you so
it's
much.
it's
I
my
enjoyed
pleasure.
the hell out of it.
Hans,
And you have certainly earned the eggs.
that's funny.
Thank you.
Hans,
Thank you.
I have more questions, so we'd love to have you back.
I would love to come back, and then let's talk about some of the to like help the guys like Frank alluded to, help some of your listeners to get healthy.
Yes.
Right.
Because it's worth it.
You'll be our fitness guru from now on.
Yeah, don't take steroids. That's the catch-22. You lose 20 years of your life and 2 inches of your manhood.
Whoa.
Billy can't afford that.
Whoa.
I know.
I definitely can't afford that. 2 inches of my manhood, that's for sure.
All right, see you, Hans.
All
I
right.
see you guys.
That's why I didn't get circumcised. I didn't want to lose that bit.
It was an absolute pleasure.
Yes, it was
Right.
great.
Thank you so much, my friend.
Pleasure, Hans. A real pleasure to meet you, pal.
Hey,
Thank you.
we have a crystal geyser together.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, thanks
That's
again.
for sure.
Okay, guys, see ya.
Bye.
Take
So-
care, Hans.
Be
Happy
good.
New Year, pal.
All right.
So,
I'll be hearing
Derek,
from you. Hey,
what? Why don't we pick instead of the NFL, because we don't even know who's going to be in the games this week? Why don't we pick the college championship game?
oh,
It'll be Ohio State and Alabama. What do you think about that, Billy?
Well, I thought it was great that you segued there, because since you called Hans our new fitness guru, and you being the football guru, me and Derek are the only 2 Egypts out of the 4 of us, I guess. You guys are gurus. So well, it depends on you to pick the game. But I can tell you that the spread is Alabama is a 7-point favorite over Ohio State.
So you pick a team. Who are you going to pick this week?
Well, you know me, I'm a dog guy. I like to bet dogs, but I got to tell you, I can't bet against Alabama. To me, they're like, I got to go with the chalk on this one. I got to lay the 7. I like Alabama.
Well, that's interesting because I went through my usual routine on this. Who's going to be the home team? I guess it's going to be played in Florida, so there's not going to be a home team. Alabama's the Southern favorite. Ohio State's traveling far. Ohio State will be traveling farther, but they're going to have a week or so to settle in. You went with Alabama?
Alabama -7.
All right, I'm going to go with Ohio State.
All right.
wow, begrudgingly.
And that's just not being contrary. You
Yeah.
like Ohio State.
Begrudgingly, because my friend Vinny Porco passed last year of COVID, and he was a huge Alabama fan. So I really wanted to root for Alabama to honor Vinny, but when I heard you say Alabama, I knew I had to go Ohio State.
Because I'm never right.
That's hilarious.
Well, I think that's about all we got time for this week. We probably that's our longest show ever, but it's a good way to
Well,
keep.
he was just terrific.
Yeah.
I have another dozen questions I'd love to ask about the
Yeah.
quality of care in Taiwan as opposed to the hospitals
Oh,
in,
yes.
in the United States.
I will say, I'll say this for Hans. He got a bill for like $700,000 from the Taiwanese hospital, and he said, "Oh my God, how am I going to pay this?" And they said, "No, that's in our currency, $7,000 in American money."
Whoa.
So he had this brain operation,
Well,
state of the art brain operation for $7,000.
that's why because I know firsthand I don't know what was wrong with him, but they estimated that and our coverage is okay, but it's not really terrific, our health coverage, firemen in New York anyway. And they estimated his operation was going to cost $220,000. Now, that's when they were going to bill the insurance company. I don't know what he was going to have to pay. But he flew to Phuket, Thailand. They gave him the same operation for $30,000. And he said to me, Billy, I swear to God, the food, the nurses, it was like staying in first class in Las Vegas. The food was amazing. The nurses were beautiful.
Yep.
He said it was incredible.
Hot said the same thing.
Wow.
We're
So there you
losing.
go.
No, he's all right. It's okay. I mean, we can hear him. But we can wrap it up.
Yeah, we should wrap it up. Have a good.
Who's our next guest, Frank?
I'm not sure. So
Never heard of him.
I'm not sure who it is, but it'll be a good guest for sure.
Excellent.
All right, well, that's great. I mean, and don't forget, if these lips could talk, it's still up there. People are still clamoring. Go ahead and buy it.
Clamor.
We got the new time spot for a Mooka Mick and a Mike.
Yep.
A Mick a Mooka and a Mike.
Facebook and YouTube. So we got a lot of things going on this week. So we'll see you next week.
You can go and look at the archives as well. There's been some great shows with Tony O, Frank Sinatra's road manager, and Stephen Lang, and Alice Gilmore. So there's some great archives. We've done a good body of work so far. Let's keep it up.
We have for sure. All right, everybody. Take care. See you next week.
See you next week. Bye, everybody.
Take care. Take care, guys. See you next week. Thank you.
We'll see you next week.